Have you ever wondered why some people keep putting themselves through hell even when they don't have to? You see them overworking, overgiving, or staying in pain long after the danger has passed. I think the reason many of us keep hurting ourselves is that somewhere along the way we learned that pain is the price of being loved. Mick Foley lived that truth, and I've lived it, and maybe you're living it too. Let's get into it.
1, 2, my God, it's the Kick-Out Show!
This is WWA Wrestling with Adversity, and this is the Kick-Out Show. Today I want to talk about Mick Foley. He is one of the most beloved wrestlers of all time, but not because he was the biggest or strongest guy, or because he looked like a superhero. It was because he suffered, and he made that pain feel meaningful to the fans and to the crowd. But the uncomfortable truth is that Mick's greatness wasn't built on confidence, it was built on endurance. And when endurance goes unchecked, it can destroy a life. If you look at Mick Foley on paper, none of it makes sense. He didn't have the body, the look, or the smooth charisma like The Rock or Stone Cold. He was awkward, soft-spoken, overweight, bullied growing up, and yet the crowd adored him. Why? Because Mick didn't just wrestle, he paid a price. He paid it with his body, his spine, his nervous system. And every time he did, the crowd gave him something back. They gave him love, respect, and belonging. And that is a dangerous trade. When love only comes after pain, pain becomes your identity. And I want to be clear about this because it's the core of what we talk about here. And it's that Mick Foley didn't think, I want to destroy myself. Instead, he internalized a belief. And that belief is, if I can endure more than everyone else, I'll finally be enough. And that belief doesn't just live in wrestling. It lives in people who grew up unsafe, people who were bullied, and people who learned early on that being gentle wasn't allowed. And that was me. Growing up, I didn't feel safe at home. I didn't feel safe at school or in my own body. And that's how I developed health anxiety. So I learned to endure. I learned to cope, survive, and push everything down, all my feelings right into the pit. Somewhere along the way, I picked up that same belief that Mick did, that if I could just handle more than everyone else, I'd be okay. For me, that turned into alcohol, anger, anxiety, and I was slowly destroying myself while still showing up on the outside world. People thought I was strong, coping, but inside I was exhausted and breaking. I was using pain as proof that I mattered, like Mick Foley did. He was just doing it louder. Every bump and chair shot was his way of saying, see me, value me, and the industry rewards it, leading to the famous Hell in a Cell match. Man, we all know that match. He was thrown off the cage, broken and concussed, and the crowd went insane. And that night made him immortal. We still talk about it to this day. But it also trapped him. And when suffering gets you love, you feel like you can't stop. From the outside, that looks heroic. But from the inside, it's self-destruction with like applause. Self-destruction often looks like strength. Overworking looks like dedication. Overgiving looks like kindness. And never asking for help looks like independence. But it's not. It's fear. And it's survival conditioning. It's running on autopilot. And eventually the body collects the bill. And Mick ended up with chronic pain, nerve damage, just because like sometimes your body will just collapse when the life you're trying to live, it just can't continue. Your system forces that change when your mind refuses to carry on. That happened to Mick and it happened to me. For me, it was like waking up anxious, drinking to feel normal, and always scanning for danger. And that's when it becomes a disorder. I thought it was managing, but like it's just surviving. Long after the real danger is gone. And now it never turns off. Mick Foley didn't keep going forever though. He did turn it around. Eventually something changed, and it wasn't another match or payday that stopped him. It was fatherhood. Mick realised something that hits a lot of us too late. His kids didn't need a legend. They needed a dad. And that realisation cracked the identity. Suddenly the suffering wasn't noble anymore. It was a liability. And that is the kick-out moment. It's not when the crowd cheers or the music hits. It's when the belief finally breaks, and the belief that says, I have to hurt to be worthy. Most people watching this aren't wrestlers. I'm not a wrestler. But we have carried that same belief that if I hurt myself quietly with work, alcohol, food, or toxic relationships, calling it responsibility, that will be loved. But it's unaddressed trauma looking for validation. So how do you stop using pain as your identity? You don't do it with slogans or by pretending everything is fine. You start small and you start honest. First, notice where you over-sacrifice, where you stay longer than you should, or you endure things that are quietly killing you. Second, ask something terrifying of yourself. Who would I be if I didn't need to suffer to be loved? A lot of people won't ask themselves that question. But you don't need to suffer to be loved. Stop punishing yourself. Third, replace punishment with care and set a boundary. Have an honest conversation. Make a choice that says, I matter too. Finally, let people see you without the performance or the toughness, just the truth. That's the hardest part, because a lot of us don't know who we are without pain. Here's the pearl that I want you to take with you today. You don't have to bleed to belong. You never did. Mick Foley didn't matter because he suffered. He mattered because he had heart, and so do you. And if you've been living like pain is the price of entry, or confusing endurance with worth, then this is your moment. Drop the barbed wire and drop the belief. Stand up, because it's not about how hard you hit the mat. It's all about the kick out. I'll see you next week.